Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I am Jill Troderman, the host of Feeding Your Family, streaming live on Santa Cruz Voice, santacruzvoice.com. 12% of Americans have at least 5 chronic diseases. 43% of Americans have 2 or more chronic diseases. 25% of American women are on antidepressants. 90% of the $4.3 trillion spent annually on healthcare is linked to chronic disease. 80% of all medical schools do not require a course in nutrition. 77% of young adults do not qualify for the military due to their health scores. 40% of teens in the U.S. have a mental health diagnosis. One more statistic, people. 74% of American adults are overweight or obese. Oh my gosh, these are crazy statistics. We all know that America is in a health crisis, and in fact, it is true that America is the unhealthiest developed nation in the world. So clearly we've got some problems, and I know we've discussed this on the show before, and today I've got an expert in the studio with me to discuss some of these doom and gloom topics, but also to talk about some inspiration and things that we can do to reverse these trends. So let me introduce to you Dr. Catherine Reed. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Hi.
Let's dive in.
I know, Katie. Okay, you and I can really get saucy on this topic and talk about it for hours and hours, right? It's a passion.
Near and dear to our hearts. This is our movement.
It is our movement, and there is a big movement in the world, the MAHA movement, that's kind of pushing the agenda. I don't know where you and I fall on that. I'm in the peripheral, I'd say, kind of observing what's going on, but definitely there's motions happening, and there's some good things happening in the world.
Well, how can you argue with that? Make America healthy again. How
Right.
they do it, is maybe not our style, but what we do on that whole Make America Healthy Again is obviously talking about our food issues. And like you said, we've got a health crisis, right? We're recognizing it's a health crisis, and it's the food.
It's the food. And there's a lot of other things. But
it's the food.
But it is the one thing that we all have to do. We breathe.
We sleep.
We sleep. We pee and poop. We do all these fun things. But feeding our families and feeding ourselves is of critical importance. So I wanted to start off by talking about some of how we identify what ultra-processed foods are. So we know hundreds of years ago, we didn't have these things called ultra-processed foods. We didn't have processed foods. Maybe people would make their butter, their cheeses, but nothing came in plastic. They weren't microwaving things, and they weren't being traveled around the world, and stored in storage bins for 2 years. So there's a lot of conflicting information about what UPFs are. Katie and I pretty much agree, I'd say, on these things. Some of our serious health educators, they might say that some ultra-processed foods are okay to eat, and that there's a whole variety of them.
Yeah, and so if we define, first of all, ultra-processed foods, right? Because I think sometimes people are like, oh, well, what is that, right? So
Right.
the ultra-processed foods, and this is Moorbach, who did a bunch of studies on, coming up with the NOVA classifications on the degree of processing in foods. That ultra-processed category is, as it sounds, significantly processing our macronutrients, the proteins, the fats, the carbohydrates, the fibers and such, into its base units. And it's going through an incredible amount of chemical, temperature, physical kind of processing to get to this ultra-processed category. And over 60% of the American diet is comprised of, probably more, 70% comprised of ultra-processed foods.
100%. And also the same goes for grocery stores, because that's where the food's coming from, right? So unless you're getting a pure organic apple from your tree, most everything that's going to be in the middle aisles of your grocery store are packaged. So anything in a package would be considered processed. So let's break down there's 4 levels in this NOVA classification, and the NOVA classification comes from Brazil, I do believe.
Yeah, so Moorbach, did a bunch of studies across different countries, but Brazil's where it originated, where he did, a very expansive studies on the Brazilian diets and came up with these classifications. And I think, we'll get to the nutritional databases and how they can be very, very misleading because they're not including this NOVA classification of the degree of processing. But yes, so the ultra processed category, but minimally processed would be your fruits, your vegetables, you're cooking it maybe, or it's
like a bag of frozen peas, for instance. So that would be like a second category of processed food.
Right, and that's under the minimally, processed.
Minimally, and then the third processing would be, let's say, like a ketchup or yogurt.
Yeah, so like when they put in like processed category before we get to the ultra processed, the processed category I think includes milk.
Okay.
So not cheese, because cheese is in the ultra processed category. Let's see, oils, salad. Some of the kind of vinegar, things like that are under the
like
processed.
Apple cider vinegar, so things in a jar that's in the store. But we're going to talk about the things in the fourth category, the super ultra processed foods.
Ultra processed, which comprises the majority of the standard American diet. Sad.
Right. And that would even include like baby formula.
Yes.
Would be considered an ultra processed food.
Oh, yes.
Unfortunately.
And
then those weird toddler pouches.
Yes.
That they're trying to hook the parents on.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to hook
the toddlers.
all of society on, this is convenient and, so forth. But the article, and do you want to read the title of, this is the NPR one?
Right. So there was an article in NPR November 10th, 2025 called People Want to Avoid Ultra-Processed Foods, but Experts Struggle to Define Them. So there was this article, and there was also another article written in the Atlantic where health professionals, not unlike Katie and myself, or Dr. Reed.
Thank you.
For more formal. To her, she's Katie. But for everyone else out there, please show her some respect. But healthcare professionals will actually say that these foods are okay, the super ultra processed foods.
Yeah, and that's, to sit there and think that there's some sort of debate on that this is healthy is ridiculous, and you wonder if they're getting paid by the corporations that are processing the foods. I mean, that's an absolutely contradictory statement that, some of the ultra processed foods are fine, not all are bad. And I'm like, based on what study? All the studies are saying that the ultra processed food category is a major cause of obesity, metabolic syndrome, diabetes, whatnot, mental health, go right on down.
It does. In fact, Dr. Dariush Mazafarian, who is the head of Foodist Medicine Institute at Tufts University, he has seen over 100 observational studies and 3 different randomized controlled trials that have linked overconsumption of ultra-processed foods to a host of health harms, including increased risk of type 2 diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease, cancers, and even depression. So it's not like we're still scratching our heads on this. It's been proven that these ultra-processed foods are 100% contributing to chronic disease.
I know.
So why is that? So are these health professionals getting paid off?
Oh, I totally think about it. And we're about to go into the industry of, the nutrition teaching, schools.
We are.
But it's like, absolutely. I mean, like, it reminds me of the whole tobacco, quote unquote, debate, it's not addicting. And I'm like, yeah, they were getting paid by the tobacco industry or some, sort of person paying them off to scientifically come up and say, oh, no, nicotine's not addicting. And it reminds me of the same debate.
It's so gross. Yeah, I honestly feel like I'm bearing the lead because let me just get to the chase and then we can go talk about all these other things. I want to talk about ultra-processed foods in schools and milk, but let's talk about who are setting up these regulations, who are making the rules in our government. Well, we know the USDA, and then one of the biggest organizations in the world who influences our food and dietary habits is the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Do you know that one?
Yes, I do. And so I did, write a book, and we'll talk about your book, but Fat, Stressed, and Sick, MSG, Processed Foods in America's Health Crisis. So that's obviously very, keen to this topic here.
Right.
But,
so that's that's Dr. Reed's book. Say that one more time.
Yes, yeah. Fat, Stressed, and Sick, MSG, Processed Foods in America's Health Crisis is the book that it's available on Amazon. But, very much I'd go into, here we have these educators in the industry of, the nutrition industry, and it's run and funded and taught by the worst offenders in the food industry. It's just it's sick. It's sick.
It's corrupt, essentially.
It's absolutely corrupt. Nestle. Oh, yeah, let's have Nestle fund the American nutrition program and require that you need to be going through their schools to give people dietary advice.
Well, that's how it's set up right now.
That's how it's set up. It's ludicrous.
All of our medical institutions, whatever health insurance that you have, and you're going to go see a nutritionist, they will be trained 100% by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. So if you're wondering who most people are getting their dietary information from,
Nestle,
where I would like you to come to me.
Or me.
Or Katie.
Jill has got, a wonderful book. It's so colorful, and the Food Tree, Holistic Nutrition and Wellness Curriculum. And it's like, this is how we should be teaching nutrition to our entire family and feeding our families. It's got some gorgeous pictures here and all these wonderful things. And it's like, we've got, are you kidding me? Nestle and General Mills running our registered dietitian programs. It's crazy. So I would like Katie and I to take over. I might move aside.
But until I get a job there, I might have to get a job at Nestle.
and infiltrate the spy.
Okay, so let's talk about their funding. So the Academy is getting funded by Coca-Cola. I'm going to read the list.
That makes sense.
So they've received between 2013 and 2017 millions of dollars. I'm not going to add it up, but I could already see it's about 3 or 4. I don't know. Maybe it adds up to about $10 million. The National Dairy Council, ConAgra, Abbott Nutrition, PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, Hershey's, General Mills, Aramark, Unilever, Kellogg. Okay, so these are the people who are making all of our processed foods in America. These are the people who is funding the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. So if anyone in my cohort from the NANP or any of the natural professional organizations out there, the AND is our rival. And they used to call people like me disruptors. And in fact, they changed their name from, what was it, the ADA, the Academy of Dietetics?
Yeah, American Dietitian Association. Yeah.
Well, they changed it to incorporate nutrition because they were feeling a little pressure.
Well, what a concept.
Because people are aware nowadays, and they want better, healthy food. So I'm wondering what's going to happen with this corruption. But not only does the AND receive money from these giant mega corporations, what we call Big Food, Big Ag, Big Pharma, they also invest in these companies.
That seems like a little bit of a conflict.
It's a conflict of interest. So they essentially are purchasing money to buy into these corporations. So how do we square that?
Well, and when you have a debate where you have medical professionals saying, some foods in this ultra-processed category are okay, and let's just take the nutrition concept there. So, Kevin Hall's study where he's looking at, and he did a beautiful study where he took 2 cohorts, and the one population was in, and these diets were matched identical with quote unquote nutrition and what would be seen in a nutritional database. One diet consisted of these nutrients in an ultra processed form. The other one was the nutrients in a whole food form. The one that was eating the ultra-processed food, even though it was matched for the amount of fat, protein, carbohydrates, fiber, everything was matched. Nutrients were matched. One was in a ultra-processed form, the other one was whole food. The cohort with the ultra-processed gained significant amount of weight, and I can't remember the percentage of weight, to the point where they were in the obese category. Wow. And then they did a crossover, where then the group that gained the weight ended up consuming the whole food diet, and the one that had the whole food diet was consuming now the ultra processed, and the populations, then the weight gain went into the ultra processed category. They were matched for nutrients, and so it's not about nutrition, it's about what are they doing to the foods. Of course we need to eat nutrient dense foods, but it's like you can't sit there and obliterate the food, add some fortification and call it nutritious.
That's right. So the processing itself is what's denaturing the food, right? So let's take seed oils for a minute, if we want to dive into that for a second.
Sure.
So seed oils are all over the MAHA thing, right? Now you think seeds, that's great. Sunflowers, seeds.
Yeah.
Right?
Sesame seeds, sunflower. Yeah.
Now when we process them, soy, corn, canola, what are the other oils? Those are the oils that they're highly processing. So what they're doing, they're taking like soybeans that are GMO, they're not organic. They put them through refineries. They high heat.
Oh, absolutely. High heat. I mean, if you think about like trying to extract an oil from a sunflower seed, there is a lot of processing going on. And it wasn't until I dove into the Google patents looking at some of these seed oil processes where I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, this is can completely go rancid and oxidize based on how they're processing it.
Because these oils are fragile. So if you're applying heat to these oils, they become what you're calling oxidated or rancid. Do you want to tell our audience about what oxidation is and what it does to the body?
Yeah. So, oxidation, obviously, many of the inflammation pathways are a result of too much oxidation going on, and we need a balance of reduction oxidation processes. But the, free radicals are absolutely just firing away and destroying any of the macromolecules in our cells. And, the oxidation process is extremely damaging to all our cell membranes, all our proteins, all our fats and carbohydrates, making a rancid oil pretty darn toxic.
Right. So when we're eating these oils, we're eating essentially these rancid toxic oils. But the thing is, people don't know they're rancid. Because why? Because they're...
Well, that if you don't know any better and you've always consumed, sunflower seed oil and it's probably always been rancid, you wouldn't know how to distinguish a good oil from a bad oil.
But wait, I'm forgetting what the name is that they're doing their... so you can't smell it. They're...
and I once I changed my diet drastically, I became more sensitive to smelling it. So when coconut oil goes rancid, and all oils will potentially go rancid, right. So you have to be sniffing these suckers, the olive oil, whatnot.
But they process them so you can't even smell, like they deodorize them.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even know that with the seed oils. I mean, I banned seed oils from my house once I looked at this stuff.
So in nature, like I ruined a batch of perfectly good granola once because I added rancid seeds to it. Because I believe eating seeds in seed form is healthy.
Right, me too.
So eating sunflower seeds as a seed food, wonderful, because then you're getting the other nutrients that's bound into it. It's not an extracted, processed food. It's a whole food.
That's a whole food. It's not processed. It's got, the fat, fiber, protein, and it's got some minerals in there. Check, 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 check. And it's not just this very highly obliterated process taking out one ingredient from the whole food.
Right.
And making it with all the chemicals. And canola oil, I mean, a lot of people don't know that. It's from the rape seed, which is a toxic plant. That toxic oil, canola oil, was originally designed for mechanical lubrication. And they thought, wow, this is so cheap. We should put this in the food supply. So they have to go through extra processing to remove some of these toxins from this rapeseed oil, aka canola oil. And it's all over our food supply.
It certainly is. It's in all those fried foods. Same with like the hydrogenated oil, which I think they finally banned that, partially hydrogenated oil. So the bottom line is all of these seeds are highly processed and they cause rancidity, and then they put the deodorizers in there so you can't even smell it. So that's one thing that we think that they should avoid, but it's still in a lot of our foods,
yes.
right?
Yeah. And, and I mean, you can't even make it, right? So you can't even buy sunflower seed oils and think, oh, let me make some sunflower seed oil today. I mean, that's not even like a kitchen process for the person, So I'd say, just eat the seeds.
Right.
And get that oil that way.
And I think
and nuts.
Right. And I think
and
that's the call to us, is that we're so busy that it's almost impossible for us to wrap our heads around even how to eat whole foods anymore. In fact, they kind of disparage, like, oh, it is so complicated, in one of these Atlantic articles, saying it's just really tough for parents nowadays to feed their kids because they have to actually cook.
Yeah, and I do think that's almost been a brainwashing, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because it's like if you make some smoothies here in the morning, throw some stuff in the blender, some vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, and some herbs and fruit, add some water, boom. There's no cooking. It's pretty simple. Throw it in there. Scrambled eggs, it doesn't take a heck of a lot. But I do think we've been brainwashed and convinced that you have to be pulling out, ready-made Lego Egos or whatever and just throw them in the toaster oven, where I'm like, we've been brainwashed.
We're totally brainwashed. And I think our poor little children in the school systems, which I had some guests on, and the school systems, by the way, are the biggest, what you would call, restaurant in the nation.
Oh, interesting.
They serve the most people in our country.
Yeah.
And those kids are getting the worst foods, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Luckily here in the Live Oak School District, they're doing a farm to kitchen, but they still have to purchase foods from the big corporations.
The government, right? Because especially public schools, right? Because they're receiving funding, and part of the funding is to support the ag, And
they do. And if a school wants to blow off the government, then they have to fundraise themselves. And I think that's why schools their hands are tied, because they want the funding, but then they're feeding the kids these bad foods, and the parents and the administrations know that the food is bad. So what's the school district to do? Mm-hmm. And maybe in some affluent communities, you're going to have access to better food. Parents who are more motivated. One of the foods that they're feeding in schools, a lot of them are packaged in plastic, microwaved, served on throwaway plates. Like, I feel sad for those kids. Like,
our society. It's like, this is our kids. This is our future generation. It's like affecting all of us. It's really sad. It speaks to the health crisis.
It is so sad. Okay, so one food that they're eating is called these Bosco mozzarella cheese sticks from Tyson Foods. Oh. And I was like, oh my God, the ingredients. So one of the things in it is sorbiton monostearate, which is essentially a synthetic ester found in cosmetics. And pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, stearates are all over our food supply too, because it's a great way to prevent these foods from sticking to the big, huge machinery. So they put these flow agents in there, and sometimes are not even required to be put on the label.
Yeah, it's just funky.
But it messes with our digestion. So, all these sorbitol stearates, magnesium stearate, calcium stearates, stearic acids, it's all over the food supply.
Right. And so in this one article I was reading, it says that this academy, their corporate financial deals, this was in the Public Health Nutrition Study, concludes that the academy and its foundation assist the food and beverage, pharmaceuticals, and ag business industries through their large network of professionals and students, and their lax internal policies on corporate partnerships and their topical position papers. So they're essentially, they're being found out, the academy, that they have massive conflicts. They're corrupt. They're corrupt and they have
shocking.
conflicts. I know. I wish I was saying something really mind-blowing.
Profound, yeah.
But it's not. But if it's so profound or not profound, how come it's still happening?
I know, and it's like, and it is so interesting that, most people have the basic knowledge, especially if they're dealing with a health issue and they're 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds overweight, they know it's the food, but there's just this lack of discipline or willingness to do it. And it's going to the medical doctor, which you're not getting the advice on.
No.
Change the diet. You're saying, oh, here, take this Ozempic. And
my God.
Yeah, and so it's like, okay, rather than people having the discipline to eat better, we're going to sit there and give them another pill, which they're going to have a bunch of side effects from the Ozempic, and gosh knows, this is a new drug, so we're going to see what the consequences of that is, and especially in our children. But it's like, rather than the discipline. So I would say that most people know. So, you and I try to attract the people who desire a change because they are more motivated, or maybe their health really, is so consequential that they know they have to make a difference, right? They got the diagnosis or whatnot. But it's the people who are thinking they're surviving, certainly not thriving, just kind of dealing with these health issues that they think are normal and that they can't do anything about. And That's the population I'm certainly not reaching. I don't know about you.
No, I feel like we have half the population are our potential clients.
Oh, I mean,
least.
well, we just said like 70% of the people are obese. I mean, we have a huge number of people that could use support on, here, let's hold your hand and let's really guide you as to how to make healthier, food choices. And, your book is much more, written to help educate the feeding of the whole family, like your podcast states. And so
thank you, Katie. I appreciate your plugs right there.
But it's like,
I know I have a grandiose delusions that I want to have my food tree as the new food guide in the United States.
It's like, we need a new food pyramid. And I have one, on my website too. It's like, this is what the food pyramid should look like. We can't have the food corporations taking over what our food pyramid should look like, or our food plate for that matter.
Right. I think we've all made our own food guides because we're so sick and tired of this, essentially what the name of your book is. Like, we are literally sick and tired of all this corruption.
Yeah. Fat, stress, and sick.
Right. And I'm just frustrated with the whole thing. But really quick, I just want to share the Ozempic thing.
Oh,
it really flips me out. So right now, that drug is approved for 12 and up.
Wow.
12 and up children. Okay. They want to approve it for 6 years and above. Could you imagine what that's going to do to the mental health of the kids? That you're basically telling your person that you have to go on this drug essentially
for your life.
These drugs for life. And aren't we supposed to be teaching our kids about wellness and how to eat well for their life, not just take this
pill
drug?
Yeah.
And by the way, the Ozempic, and hey, I know a lot of people have had help on this, and I have family members and probably some friends I don't know who are on it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we know more people who are on it than not. And it was originally for diabetes, I do believe.
Yeah, no, I do have a friend that I was like, wow, you lost an amazing amount of weight. And then I realized how. I was like, oh.
But you also lose muscle.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say that,
bone.
I mean, and, it doesn't look healthy. It's a healthy, it doesn't look like a healthy weight loss. And maybe that, kind of balances out and whatnot, but it's like, it's not looking healthy at this point. But, I do think this person feels more energetic and feels good about themselves because they lost the weight. And so there's also that kind of benefit from,
But what about kids? They don't have a choice.
Right. And so
I'm saying that they're children. They are not aware of the consequences if the parent is and their physician is suggesting it. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're just a little kid.
The same thing with honestly, some of these mental health drugs. It's like, why not exhaust all other natural lifestyle possibilities where you're training an individual on how to care for themselves and empowering them. Wow, what a concept, right? And so why not do that first and foremost? But a lot of people want the drug, and so it becomes an absolute battle that we're, giving drugs and then another drug because of the side effects of that drug. And then you got, so by the time these kids are reaching adults, they might be on 3-4 different drugs for a variety of different health issues, which is so sad, where the training got missed, right? The training opportunities or the modeling or the lifestyle changes were missed.
What happened to the parents? How come they're at a loss? What happened to the doctors? The doctors are just giving up and pharmaceuticals are the way to go?
Well, that is how the medical system's taught. That's like diagnose and what's the prescription drug to, treat that diagnosis. I mean, that's how they're taught, right? So they're like contributing to the drug use. But what's sad is that we need to obviously model as parents, the lifestyles. This is how you eat. This is how you exercise. This is how you, look, absolutely, mentally, meditation, mental health. We were having our little mental health meditation session before our little gig here, and that was fun, right? It's like, we got to really focus on whole body and all the lifestyles associated with it. And the best things parents can do is model it.
We do. And in fact, with that, before we take a commercial break, I do want to plug my class. I do love entertaining, having Katie here because she's such a blast to have. So thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Dr. Reed. This is a really serious topic, and I know we're kind of laughing and giggling, but it is very serious. And we take
because we're happy, because we eat well.
We eat well, we are happy, and we know what to eat, typically. And look, we're still not perfect ourselves. You know, I mean, I still eat processed foods occasionally. Obviously, I do. It's in our system. It's almost impossible to avoid unless we're living on an Amish farm.
Well, that's an idea.
I know. I'm looking for a new business. So
yeah, exactly.
I want to join the Amish community. But seriously, I am hosting a Zoom class, and I really do love to do things in person, but Zoom is easier. We can capture people from all over the world, essentially. So this class is going to be starting January 20th, and I'm calling it the Food Tree Holistic Nutrition 101. So it's my basic 101 class series. I'm going to go through my 5 food groups, which are proteins, whole grains, healthy fats, fruits and vegetables. That's on my food tree model. Take it or leave it, but that's kind of what I have come up with. And I think it's pretty cool. It's a very basic model that parents can easily adapt into their lifestyle. And the classes are 10 a.m. to 11:30, and that's starting again January 20th, running through February 24th. And we're going to not only be talking about these 5 food groups, we'll talk about my nutrition vampires.
So what's a nutrition vampire? Or you want to save it for the class?
Oh, no, we can talk about it. They're in the book. You want to look up in my book what the vampires are. My vampires are things like artificial sugars, aspartame, hydrogenated oil, and rancid oils.
A lot of the things that we're talking about in the ultra-processed food category.
It's basically all the things that we're talking about in the ultra-processed. And then, honestly, you'll like the last one, which you brought up. We were doing a little meditation before, because I do try to meditate every day, set some good positive intentions, is your thoughts. Mm-hmm. You know, like, hey, I'm not dissing that mom who wants to get her kid on Ozempic. That mom is probably freaking out that she's got a kid who's feeling depressed. She's probably getting bullied at school. What's that mom to do? And then she turns to the doctor. They don't have tools. Yeah. You know, so I feel like this is a serious situation. So I want to access those parents to say, hey, it's not as complicated as you think. You might have to do some discipline yourself, though. Yeah.
And I think, a lot of, I think when we coach, we're trying to coach also that, parents modeling and what is their hang up that they're feeling, the block for modeling that behavior.
Right.
What are their issues? What are their comfort foods that they're finding that they feel they must have, right? We've got addictions going on with the foods.
Generational, right?
Oh, yeah. And I like that your class is starting January 20th. It's after the holidays. So, it's like, okay, like binge, and then you kind of purge a little bit and you get prepared for your January 20th class. That's great.
I know, it's great. And it's super nominal fee. So check out my website. It's only $149. And it is going to be chock full with really great information. We're going to also talk about the mindfulness, which is my 9th. I have 9 nutrition vampires. And the 9th one is your own attitude.
Yeah.
Are you sabotaging your own mental health because you're saying negative things? Or do you want to change the way you're thinking about things? So we are going to talk about that. And then I end everything with a really fun demo of a food we'll make. In fact, we have to get on with our show, and I need to do a quick commercial break, but we do have a fun thing that we're going to do at the end of this podcast. I'm going to talk about doing an Adzuki Bean Burger recipe.
Oh.
It's going to be tasty.
I'm coming over for dinner.
I know. I was trying to make them before I got here, but I didn't.
I don't even get to taste it.
I usually eat them before I even get them in the freezer, but. So hold on, folks. This is Jill Troderman with Feeding the Family, and Dr. Catherine Reed is joining me in the studio, and we will be right back. So hold on, folks. Okay, folks, we are back in the studio. Feeding the Family is the name of the podcast, and I am your host, Jill Troderman. A few more things on the topic of, and Dr. Catherine Reed is in the studio with me.
Yeah, here I am.
Hello. Fat, Sick, and Tired is the name.
No, Fat, Stressed, and Sick. Fat, Stressed, and Sick, MSG, Processed Foods in America's Health Crisis, a book I authored, and it really talks about the glutamate in the food supply and how it's hijacking our nervous system and causing all sorts of health issues. But I do go into the ultra-processed foods and the NOVA classifications and refer to Kevin Hall's study. But
no, Catherine's work is fabulous, and that's why I really resonate. Like, I feel like we're so aligned with what we're doing with our work. I get very excited. That's why we get all excited talking to each other, because we're so passionate about turning people onto this. So there's so many things that people can do. You can contact your schools. You can contact your grocery stores. For instance, in England, they are looking at banning end-of-store junk food. So at the caps.
Oh, at the grocery stores?
At the grocery stores, at the caps, oftentimes they have real junk food. In fact, I've been known to go into those stores and remove those items. And rearrange the grocery stores. I do fun things like that. It's great.
Oh, yeah. I got kicked out of the local grocery store here. They let me back in. I won't say what the name is, but yeah.
Oh my God.
I got kicked out for kind of calling out some stuff that I thought was just a little lacking transparency.
That's hysterical. So we'll get in trouble together. It'll be fun. So I think that would be a great idea. I don't know legally how they can do that, but at least we can encourage and reduce the sales. We have to make health profitable. See, that's the thing.
Well, it's profitable in the sense that we now have our health and then we can be productive. That's where it's
Profit can come from health.
Right. It's productive. You're a producing member of society. Look at how our mental health is completely shutting down. Sometimes the families, right? It's one of the parents, typically the mothers, are having to quit their jobs to care for the sick children or themselves, and so we've got a, productivity issue resulting from lack of health. So that's a lot of the productivity and improving our society's
Right. It's kind of
money.
inverted right now. So I would be a fan of this end of aisle promotions ban.
Yeah, I would too. Well, think about all the little things that you could just be putting there that would be so, luring to the children. It's like, oh yeah, here's a little ball, or here's a little
puzzles,
stuffed chicken. Oh, puzzles! I like that.
I mean, there's a million different things that people could have. Okay, and then another thing that really gets under my skin is the school milk program.
Oh.
So this is another corruption thing. So comparing my food tree to the food plate, it's called the My Plate, and mine is the food tree.
Mm-hmm.
The food tree curriculum. You can buy that also on Amazon for a nice price.
Nice.
Here's my vampires.
Oh, yes.
Katie's looking in my book, so she sees the cute little characters. But let me just say, the schools receive funding for serving milk. If they don't serve milk from the Dairy Council, they don't get the funding. Guess what milk they are serving? They just revamped these rules. So starting the 25-26 school year, they still do allow the strawberry flavored milk. And look at the ingredients in that. Okay?
Oh, absolutely gross.
And then, if our government and the RDs care so much, why are they allowing these in our food system? So, 1 carton of milk, let's say chocolate milk, would contain 15 grams of added sugar.
And lactose is a sugar in and of itself. So, it's like you've got lots of sugar going on there.
Yeah, so sometimes for a kid, that would be half your daily allowance of sugars.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about fruit.
Yeah, we're not talking about a food, honestly.
Right. They should be getting that sugar from fruit.
Yeah, so it ends up filling them up. I know, it's amazing.
With antioxidants, not this crap, essentially.
Yeah, it's amazing how many medical doctors still will really scorn upon a person saying that they're going dairy free and getting rid of, the dairy in their diets, which is highly inflammatory. And it's amazing. The doctor's like, well, how are you going to get your calcium? I'm like, oh my goodness, do you realize that's net negative calcium, going on when you're consuming dairy because you're inflaming your body and you're having to leach calcium out of your bones in order to neutralize the blood pH. And so you're actually net negative on the calcium.
100%, especially when it's low fat, they can absorb vitamin D without the fat.
Yeah.
That also is like a
well, and it's vitamin D fortified. They're not getting vitamin D anyway from the milk, but that's a whole other thing.
And then we'll talk about folic acid. That's a whole scam. Okay. I mean, you want folate.
Yeah.
You want whole plant folate, not folic acid, which is a synthetic folate. Okay. So nonetheless, the bottom line with this is that in our school system, they're basically forcing schools to serve these products to our children. Boom, for funding.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, yeah. So, again, we go back to the public school system, they're required to do these things, which it's like, okay, just educate our children.
Right. And they don't even want the milk. So they throw most of the milk out anyways. It's like a huge waste thing. Like physical waste.
Yeah.
In the landfill is what I'm saying. All right. Another thing that I find corrupt with the food plate, the My Plate, is that, so in the food tree, I say 5 whole grains. The food, My Plate, is 3 to 8 servings of grains, and only half should be whole. And that's in the school system too. Mm-hmm. So only half the grains in the school lunch program should be whole grains.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a processed grain, it's essentially just a carbohydrate, sugar, glucose
sugar
spike.
Still.
Yeah.
So if they're eating spaghetti, if they're having tortillas, same.
Yeah. It's
the
just a
same.
glucose spike. Yeah. And
Right.
that's where a lot of people don't really recognize like what is a whole grain. So when I'm talking about like buckwheat groat, hear that term, groat. That is the whole grain,
Right.
not this, rolled oats or whatever, that, it's so processed, like you said, pastas or whatnot, or even the breads, that's not even bread,
Right.
you say whole grain breads, but if you're fermenting it and then cooking it, it's getting cooked down quite a bit where it's not, I don't think it's a whole grain anymore.
No, it's not. I think corn is probably the best grain, and rice as far as processing, because corn, it's pretty whole. You can't process corn that much.
Well, have you heard corn syrup? So of course
corn syrup, corn oil, but
Right.
I meant like in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You could just grind your corn, and then they have corn meal.
Yeah.
And you could do the same with if you want to make your own bread, you could grind your wheat. How many people in America are grinding their own wheat?
I am.
Okay, good.
Well, I don't do a lot of wheat, but I do grind my grains to make whatever, my batters or my, flatbreads or whatnot, so.
Okay, so this is great. And then Katie and I were talking before the show about, and in 1 minute, I'm going to get to the Adzuki Bean Burgers, so hold on.
Wait.
Because this is so fantastic. But we were talking about yogurt.
Oh, right.
So here, yogurt inherently could be a healthy food if it's just like straight, a whole milk, unpasteurized, with the A1 cow.
Yeah. So, if you had a happy cow, it's grass fed, and, unfortunately, most of our states require that the milk be pasteurized, but a lot of the nutrients based on milk were from raw milk. So
Right.
it's like we're kind of out of date, even what our nutrition is on our current milk supplies.
And
but
allergies. People who have allergies often don't have allergies when they're drinking unpasteurized
raw milk. Yeah.
milk, right.
And if you took that and you did a culture of the bifidobacterium, that's, typically what makes yogurt, and you ferment it, overnight, like an 8-hour fermentation, that yogurt, would have a natural source of probiotic and, have some good, nutrition associated with it, still processed, but not in this massively ultra processed category like a Yoplait, which is, I don't even think it really has live probiotics anymore.
Right. Yeah, they've done studies on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got so much sugar, it'd probably kill the bacteria.
And glyphosate. So this organization I have been engaging with is the Moms Across America, and they've been testing school foods, and they're also testing army food in the military, and they're comparing and contrasting school food and military food, and the amount of toxins essentially in these foods. So it's a problem. So with the milk, get a cow.
Yeah, let's get
Or
that
make your own yogurt.
or a goat, right? You don't even need a cow. You can do
get a
goat.
goat.
Or, even coconut, right? You can, make your own coconut kind of milk, by taking coconut meat, add some water, make coconut meat or coconut
Right.
milk, and adding a probiotic like Bifido and culturing it.
And even a dairy, you could get whole milk at the store,
Yeah.
unprocessed, right? And make your own, get some bacteria, lactobacillus or whatever, and put it in. Boom.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
I think people are bought on. I think we have some converts out there.
Yep. There you go.
I think the goats are going to go on sale.
Yep. Goat milk and
There's going to be a rush on goats.
coconut milk,
Coconut milk.
cow milk. Yep.
Oat milk. No, I'm not so much a fan of...
You could probably do it with, I haven't done that, but I'm sure,
like almond milk. I prefer people to eat the almond.
right. Yeah.
Honestly.
I always say to people, if you're going to make almond milk, you want to make sure you keep that meat and use that, almond meat for whatever, a crust or whatever.
Burgers.
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 There we go.
Well,
tell me about your Adzuki burger.
Oh my God, I can't believe we got on that topic so quickly. It's like my favorite topic of the show.
Oh yeah. I want to hear this recipe.
I know. Okay. This is really good. So I love to eat a veggie burger because who doesn't?
Yeah.
Right? People like hamburgers. I like a veggie burger. So I go to some restaurants and they have these horrible things called, I don't want to say them on the air, but it starts with a B. Well,
you can say it. So it's a Beyond Meat, which is a vegetarian taste, the meat replacement.
Or the Impossible one. I think one of those is owned by Bill Gates, and hopefully he's losing shares. I'm not a fan of him. I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
I'm coming
There we
out.
go. There you go.
I'm coming out.
We're going to be targets.
Right. I'm definitely locking my doors tonight. But in all seriousness, a veggie burger is a fabulous thing, and for some reason, some restaurants don't have these. So I'm always like encouraging restaurants to make their own. I like to make my own. So I'm going to share with you guys Adzuki beans. So Adzuki beans are tiny little, these are red beans, and they're also, the green version are mung beans.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that. So yeah, and it's a distinction between the kidney bean, which is very, very big. The
Yes.
Adzuki bean is like a smaller little red bean. A lot of people don't know about the bean.
They're super small. I think they're the size of a, I don't know if that's real. They have, they're very small and they're very sweet, and they're found often in Asian recipes. So originally they were found in, China, and then they were eventually brought to Japan in the 13th century. And they're very high in polyphenols, anthocyanins, because of that red skin. That red has all those wonderful antioxidants, what we're talking about.
Yeah, nice.
Right? So that's the whole gig, is to get antioxidants, all your nutrients, the flavonoids, all of these amazing phytochemicals.
Oh yeah, polyphenols are so, when I think about my chemistry brain, I like look at structures or think about structures of the polyphenols and how powerful of an antioxidants those polyphenols are. And the flavonoids. Yeah, awesome.
Right. And hey, we didn't even get into the carotenoids.
There we go.
Or resveratrol. Or the anthocyanins. I mean, it's very geeky and we can really get excited about it. But these are the things that promote health. So even if you are eating ultra-processed foods, you want to make sure that your diet is supplemented with unprocessed whole foods, like the Adzuki bean. So these also do have tocopherols, which are vitamin E and the flavonoids. And so, of course, they prevent cancer, diabetes, and heart disease, which are that trifecta that are often implicated in disease. Okay, so also these beans have folate and B vitamins, and we love it. This recipe has in it, so I like a good bean burger, whether it's going to be a black bean, a pinto bean, or a garbanzos. Those are all good bases for a burger. And then you want to add some sort of a grain or a binder. You could add an egg, I suppose.
Yeah, so what I like about the Adzuki beans is that you don't have to soak it overnight.
100%. That is a great point, because a lot of the bigger beans you do have to soak and then rinse and then...
You still have to rinse these things, but it doesn't have to be soaked overnight.
It doesn't.
Love it.
So you could just cook it lickety-split. You could put it in your Instapot, just cover it, rinse, first rinse all your beans off always, and then put it in your Instapot, cover it with water. Don't ever add salt to an uncooked bean because it'll make them tough. Okay, but thank you for bringing that up, because we could talk for an hour on how to make beans. But, so first what you want to do, saute an onion. So we're going to saute an onion, and then on the side you're going to get some brown rice going. You could also do millet. So it's 2 cups Adzuki beans cooked, 1 cup short grain millet or quinoa. You're going to saute an onion, throw some garlics in there chopped, and you can do this in coconut oil or butter. So those are saturated fats, and I'm a real big fan of saturated fats. At least one of your fats servings for your day should be a saturated fat. Then a sweet potato, you want to dice those. And then on the side, you want to do a cup of chopped pecans and a cup of chopped sauteed kale. Okay, so you're going to cook all the rice, throw the kale in there, saute it all up. I like to cool it down. And then you're going to add it to the Cuisinart with your brown rice.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
And this is just like, how my brain would work here. So in the Instant Pot.
Yeah. That's just for the beans.
Well, so I'm just going to ask you this because I'm just thinking about making it simpler. You could
probably put the rice in there too.
Well, saute the onion with your, butter.
Right.
Then you're putting in the beans and the rice together. I usually cook them together. So,
that's great.
Right. And so that way you're kind of like, but that way that mixture is then going into your Cuisinart,
Yeah. So however you want to simplify it for yourself. If you want to put the rice in with the beans.
Do you cook your rice and beans together in the Instant Pot?
I usually don't for some reason. I think I don't because I often make a huge amount of beans and then I freeze the beans.
Oh, and then you want to keep them separate. So that makes sense. Okay.
I just overcook beans.
Well, and I do rice and beans like a lot of them, and that ends up being my slop for the next day where I'm adding a bunch of vegetables and cilantro and parsley, whatever.
I mean, and let's just call it slop, because the bottom line is you just put all this mushy stuff together and just smush it together and call it a burger.
Nice.
So however you want to do it. If you want to go easy on the Instant Pot, oh my God, and we're almost out of time, so I'm going to go quick. So push this all together, add some hoisin sauce, allspice, salt, and pepper, and then form them into patties. You want to put it in the refrigerator first, so it's makes them a little harder, and then fry them up in some oil on a skillet, and there it is.
Oh, I like the fact that you're refrigerating it, because sometimes
It firms it up.
and sometimes it will break apart on the fryer. Nice,
right.
nice.
And this has rice, and it's so fabulous, and I love the hoisin sauce, and then of course you can add all kinds of wonderful things on top.
Yes, avocado, cilantro, parsley, chimichurri.
Yum, 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 yum. It is just so great, and if we ever have like a real show, TV show, which is a fantasy, if anybody wants to hire me, that would be great.
There you go.
I am available. But cooking, you have to make that part of a lifestyle. A healthy lifestyle, you got to get in the kitchen, or at least hire a cook.
Yeah.
Or have a wife or husband who loves to cook and share in doing the dishes.
Or train your kids now.
Right? Train your kids. So to wrap it up, this is just a reminder to keep eating healthy.
Yeah.
And
your Food Tree Holistic Nutrition and Wellness Curriculum book, can teach all sorts of people and families on how to make that lifestyle change.
It is great. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I do love to bring this curriculum into schools, school districts. It's very easy to implement. And the adjunct to this book is my upcoming course that starts on January 20th. So
after the
get
holidays.
A fresh start. Yeah. You want to get into this class. It's only an hour and a half, and it really lays the foundation for eating for the rest of your life. So learn this stuff once, and then you don't have to think about it again.
It's like riding a bicycle.
Yeah, and then you, as a parent, can teach the kids, and your kids will be thrilled if they know how to eat well. Trust me.
Well, they may not appreciate you now. They might give you a little stink eyes, but man, when they're in their 20s and they're not like combating all the diseases that their peers are, they'll be thankful.
They will. I mean, I really can't say that enough.
Yeah.
You said
we said that about our children. It's just like, they may have whined a little bit and moaned about some of the dinners serving as they were growing up, but it's like, now they come back and they're like, oh yeah, I really appreciate that you taught me good eating.
100%. So teach your kids. So join Dr. Catherine Reed and myself, Jill Troderman, anytime. Look us up on the internet. We are all over the place. Find our podcast, and we'll see you guys next week, next Wednesday. Signing out. Have a great day.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.